Hello my fine gardening friends, how the devil are you? Welcome to a very autumnal day here in beautiful Nova Scotia. It is the 2nd of November and it's a beautiful sunny day, as you can see. Bit of a cold breeze out there, which is the autumnal bit, but it's beautiful sunshine. Most of the trees now have lost their leaves. Only the birch, beautifully waving in the breeze there, is left with its leaves, and maybe one of the oaks at the back there, but everything else now, the maples, etc., have all lost their leaves now. So I've been busy raking all those up to store them away to make some really good leaf mould for next year. Things obviously have slowed down here in the garden. Other than raking all the leaves, I'm just basically cutting everything down, but I've still got things growing. As you can see here, I've still got some spinach here, some bok choy, carrots hopefully for Christmas, and some other carrots I've got that I've grown throughout the year that I'm still harvesting now. But yeah, and some lettuce still as well. So still things growing. Even harvested a really good batch of raspberries in the background. I don't know if you can see the raspberry canes in the background, but yeah, still harvesting those. We've had quite a mild autumn fall here in Nova Scotia. We had some early frosts, but really for the last month we haven't had much in the way of frosts. So I think, you know, the raspberries are still going, and like I said, I've still got a few things growing. I even got some sweet peas I'm still harvesting, still cutting for the last of the flowers. But other than that, I am really cutting things down. But I've got a few other, few jobs. Like I said, I've got all the leaves to still rake up, and a few other jobs here in November. So I thought I'd bring you along just to take you along with some of the last jobs before sort of winter sets in here in Nova Scotia. So why don't we get on and have a look? As I said, most of the things I'm doing in November in the garden, especially in the flower garden, is cutting things down and putting things away, storing things like the dahlia bulbs that I've dug up, and the gladioli and all the other sorts of summer flowering bulbs that need protection here in Nova Scotia. But I'm still planting, and the big thing obviously to plant in November in the veg garden is garlic. So I grow my garlic every single year. I like to grow my own garlic. You can get it cheap in the shops if you want, but always get a good flavour out of the garlic, and it's easy to grow. It's one of the easiest crops you can grow in the veg garden, and you get two crops out of it. You get the actual garlic bulbs themselves, and also the scapes, which are the sort of flower stems, and they come up just before, a month or so before you harvest the actual bulbs, and you can chop them up nicely as a garlic flavoured addition in your sautéed dishes, etc. But obviously the garlic bulbs are the main ones, and I save my biggest and fattest bulbs every single year to replant, so that hopefully I'll get big fat bulbs again. And November is the perfect time now, just before the end of autumn, and just before the ground is unworkable. Get them in the ground, and they'll steadily sort of bed themselves in over winter, and they need that winter cold, which triggers the actual the bulbs themselves to split into many different bulbs. They need that cold over the winter to trigger that. So it's easy, isn't it? All I'm doing really is getting a bulb, making a little hole, pushing it down, and then I normally sort of give a sort of hand's length in between each bulbs, and I can get a good amount in this 6 foot by 4 foot bed. I can get a good 100 bulbs in here, and the bulbs I've got now, they will last me, if I store them in a nice cold sort of dark area in between using them, they last me all the way into late spring. So a really good crop to have to use over the winter and there's nothing like just popping down to the store there in downstairs, get myself a garlic bulb all the way through the winter. Job's a good one. So like I said, easy. Hands length, push a little hole in, push it down, cover it over, and it's as simple as that. I'll get on with these and then I'll come back to you in a minute when I've finished. So as you can see, I have finished now. One of the things I didn't say beforehand is I plant them, obviously I plant them in rows, but I plant them in staggered rows. And you can see here, so I've got one row, and then the next row I plant staggered, so there's a triangle between the 3 garlic bulbs here. So that allows me to have a bit more room, or a bit closer together, and get more rows in all the way along. So there we go. So all I've got to do is cover these up now, and then that's it. Leave them over winter. They may start, if it's mild, they may start to sort of grow the stem throughout the winter, but or even early winter. But I wouldn't worry if you don't see anything, all the way through the winter and even early spring. They'll soon get going, and then by sort of early summer you'll have a good growth, and then those curly scapes will grow, and once they curl over you can cut them away and use them for your sauté dishes, etc. And then come sort of July time, it'll be time to harvest the garlic again, and then I'll dry them off and the process all starts again. But I'll be using the garlic that I grew this year throughout the winter and hopefully into the spring, no worries. Job's good. So one of the first crops, or just about the first crop that comes up in my garden in the springtime, is asparagus. And those beautiful, it's always a lovely sight when you've had the hard winter, and then you see the first little soldiers pointing their heads up in sort of late May time, and you get a taste of that. There's nothing like the taste of fresh asparagus. And this is my asparagus bed, and believe it or not, these are those little soldiers that are pointing their heads up, and once I've gone through the sort of 6 weeks of asparagus season and continually harvesting the asparagus, you want to let the remaining spears grow out into the actual big plant themselves, so that they can gather the strength throughout the rest of the summer to grow beautiful spears again next year. And that's the wonderful thing about asparagus, is once you plant it, after you leave it a couple of years to sort of get its strength up, and then years 3 and 4 you can start to harvest more asparagus, and then you've got them for the next 25 years. But you want to let them grow throughout the year to get their strength up. So now all I want to do is cut them hard back to the base, whatever's left. Once they've turned yellow, as you see here with the winter, cut them hard back, and then obviously these are going to go on the compost heap. But then the bed as well, I've got a few weeds here growing, so there's another job that we want to be doing. So we want to cut all our asparagus back, but also there's a few weeds in here. I want to get rid of all the weeds, make sure that they don't get a chance to grow over the winter, get their roots in there. But and then I want to get some fresh compost on here, a couple of centimetres of fresh compost, give it some extra goodness to sort of flow down into the earth over the winter time, so to give the asparagus some more food to grow those absolutely fantastic spears. So cut them all hard back down to the ground, give it all your beds are good, so that's all your different beds really, give them a good weeding, and then get some compost on there. So I'm going to weed out this bed and throw a bit of compost on, and I'll come back to you. So there we go, nothing particularly exciting you see here other than a lovely clean bed. I've got a nice couple of centimetres of compost, new compost down on there, and that should bed in. Nice little blanket for the little soldiers down there to keep them warm over the winter, and provide them with a nice bit of food for some nice, strong, beautiful tasting asparagus next late spring. Can't wait. So as I said, I'm continuing to cut things down in November. Get all the, you know, whether it be from the actual flower garden or old veg, etc., getting it into the compost heaps that I've got here. I'm lucky enough to have a shredder, so as a rule I can really sort of shred things down. But even if you haven't got a shredder, just using your secateurs just to cut things like this asparagus stalk down smaller so that I can get more stuff in the compost heap, and what it does is it gives it more of a surface area for all the critters to sort of get in amongst the rotting vegetation that it will become, and really sort of break it down. Now obviously this takes a little bit of time, a lot more time than a shredder, but I use it to sort of let my brain calm down and think about nothing else other than just cutting these stems down. Nice to just relax, not think about anything else other than the job in front of me, and then before I know it, it's all cut down and it's all in the composting. So, you know, use this time to relax your brain and not worry about the cares that are around you. So good job here, cutting down all your stuff, get it in the compost heap, and then next spring we'll have lots of lovely compost to spread another couple of inches on top of the actual beds, and let them feed all that goodness that's in the compost into the plants for another year's healthy growth. So keep cutting down your veg and get it in the compost heap. So there we go, there's a few jobs to be getting on with in November. Things are definitely on the downturn with work and of major interest in the garden, but there's always something to be done. So get out there, even just enjoying the sunshine and the green, what's left of the greenery around us, touching plants and touching the trees. Just I can't explain it really, but it, you know, it takes your mind off the cares of the world around you, and just allows your brain, you know, like that little bit there with the compost, just allows your brain to dial back and think of nothing else but the job in front of you there, and just relax yourselves. So, you know, there's a hard winter ahead probably, but we can do these jobs just to sort of keep ourselves relaxed and interested around the bazaars. So there we go, that's me in November. Jobs are good.